Welcome to episode 93 of Rebirth Revolution. My name is Melissa Olson. Here we are in July, having survived half of 2021. Hopefully, we all have immense gratitude for being here. 2020, if nothing else, certainly made it apparent that our belief that life would just keep rolling along was just another illusion. We can't ever know what is around the corner. We just need to make the best choices we can and be willing to pivot when necessary. I thought it might be a good time to reassess the resolutions we made at the beginning of 2021 and check our progress. We may be right on track with all of this, or we may need to kick it into high gear. Or you may not want to do anything at all. I totally back you in any decision that you make. The resolutions for 2021 were first laid out in episodes 68, 69, and 71. Today we will revisit the first 6 resolutions. The first resolution is own your state of mind and reactions. Have tools figured out in advance of those moments when you need them. This is about our power and our boundaries. We want to own everything that is ours to own and release the rest, having faith that everyone can handle their own lessons in their own way, which is our way of honoring their boundaries. To become overly involved in the lessons of others is to squander the power we have to fuel our forward movement. It's a distraction. It's also disrespectful. To think that only you can solve the problems of others is to insinuate that they are not capable of handling their own lives. That is disrespectful. Maybe they will handle their lessons in a different fashion than we would choose, but who's to say that we know better? We need to develop the tools that will support us in keeping these boundaries intact. We need to develop the language to extract ourselves from the messes that others would have us wade into. Remember, this is an act of love and respect, not one of abandonment. It is a time to state that you have faith in the ability of the other person to make their next right choice. We must give up the old excuse of thinking that anyone else is making us say or do what we don't want to say or do. We will own our reactions, and we will find strategies that keep us out of the flames. I like the strategy that was developed for dealing with narcissists, which is one of the labels that is applied to those who are working at the lower levels of spiritual awareness. The strategy is referred to as gray rock. When they are unleashing their insanity on you, you behave as if you are a gray rock. You give them no reaction at all, no facial expressions, no words of anger or denial, nothing. You see, you have the fuel that they need, and if you are unwilling to forfeit it to their cause, they must go elsewhere. Hopefully, if enough people can pull off the gray rock routine, those who rely on manipulations will have to try a better way. You get to choose all your responses. You have the power. Resolution 2 is end what needs to end so you can make room for what is coming. We've talked about being more aware that the experiences and relationships you have in this school will have a beginning, middle, and an ending. We have also talked about letting go of the mindset that for something to be a success, it must last forever. That just isn't true. Some things happen in a flash, others last longer. You can't use the length of time an experience takes as the measure of its value or importance. I'm sure you have all had some people who have been around forever who haven't really changed anything for you, while there are strangers you run into who say or do something that breaks loose a logjam in your brain or makes you see things in a whole new light. Don't get hung up on the amount of time a lesson takes. So we are trying to get better at figuring out when something is over. Because to cling to a lesson that is already played out is to delay the beginning of the next experience. And that means that we miss out on growing further. Let's say you're in a relationship with someone who has blatant disrespect or disregard for your well-being. The fact that you have become aware of this may be your sign that you're ready to move to the next level, a level where people behave better. You are growing into a space where you realize that you are worthy of more than you have required in the past. You can make your requirement for respectful treatment known and give the other person the opportunity to up their game. If they are unable or unwilling to do so, it's your time to move on. The next relationship you attract will be better aligned with your current level of awareness and self-value. Ending a relationship that no longer fits you is a perfect time to demonstrate your increased levels of honesty, empathy, and humility. It is where you take the knowledge that we are all here working on different lessons from different levels. It's where you put that all into play. It's where you make choices that reflect the gratitude you have for the lessons you have learned from another person. It is not about making the end of the relationship the entire story. It doesn't have to be cruel or inhumane. To put it another way, if you are currently at a 7th grade level of spiritual awareness and you have been in a relationship with someone who is in the 5th grade, it is understandable why that is no longer working. You want to get to the 8th grade, and the gap is too large. But if during the breakup you allow yourself to be dragged back down to your ex's grade level, you will end up back in the 5th grade with them. The next person you attract will be another 5th grader. Be your highest self and trust that they will figure out their own lesson. Sometimes the kindest thing we can do is to give another person a reason to grow. This is true for any ending. Being your highest self, the one with the greatest integrity and love, will start your next lesson at that higher level that you are seeking. Resolution number 3 is practice radical gratitude, being thankful for all you have and all you have lost. The example that I used for this was my attic, which has been full of things and pretty much undisturbed for many years. I did get through some of the stuff in that attic, and it was a big win for me. I got rid of some junk, and the writings I stumbled onto gave me the opportunity to better understand and appreciate who I used to be. I would not have done that work had I not been rifling through things from the attic. A very big part of our journey here is to understand and accept ourselves at any and all stages of our development. That isn't always easy, but it is necessary. The gratitude we have post-pandemic is certainly heightened, and I believe it has become more specific. We've had the opportunity to sift through our daily lives since they were disrupted and ascertain what really matters to us. That is a lesson that many can spend a lifetime avoiding. All growth is good growth, and as such, it is to be appreciated. We can and should always be appreciative for the lessons that come along, no matter how they arrive, because every lesson lifts you up higher out of the darkness and away from your illusions. We are here to seek the light and to get very real. Resolution 4 is be engaged in the ways you can to help us out of trouble. We have now discovered that we are one bad leader away from a total nightmare. We must stay involved in a way that will keep us out of that kind of danger. We must learn the lessons this episode has offered so it doesn't happen again. This is no time to keep quiet or to give up the fight. We have a strong contingent of fellow citizens who would steer us directly into authoritarianism if given the opportunity. If democracy and freedom mean anything to you, keep fighting. I know we're all tired, but if we give up, it will be over. We can't let them want fascism more than we want democracy. To keep our democracy alive, we must demand accountability for all who threaten it. And I do mean all. Resolution 5 is do what you feel compelled to do, focusing on the doing instead of the outcome. We have encoded within us the work that we came here to do. We are given breadcrumbs along the trail that lead us in a direction that will make achieving our goals easier. But we have to look at the breadcrumbs and watch the direction they are taking us. So how does this show up in our lives? It appears as your interests and aptitudes combined with an internal voice that comes from your guides and ancestors. But life as we live it these days is so full of distractions. We have countless ways to avoid and numb, and this makes the trail and the breadcrumbs lost to our perception. We need to honor the voice that calls us to read that book, or watch that movie, or do a deep dive on a subject that interests us. It is the difference between listening to the directions that come from plugging an address into Google Maps or just getting in the car, blindfolded, and putting your foot to the gas. We get help with this, so why not use it? Part of our culture tells us that we always have to be busy, always producing, always in motion. But these are often the distractions that I speak of. We are not meant to be in perpetual motion. We are meant to spend some time each day getting quiet so we can hear the clues that are coming our way. And if the voice tells you to watch a particular movie and your first response is that, well, the dishes aren't done, trust me, the movie has a clue that you need. The dishes will wait. Contemplate the clues in the movie while you catch up with the dishes later. Prioritize the callings you receive. They are leading you someplace spectacular. It is not necessary that you know where it is leading you at this point. Just enjoy the process and trust that it all comes together in a way that will amaze you. Resolution 6 is use the time when you can't do what you thought you were going to do to improve your skills. Be ready to come out of the gates whenever that occurs, more prepared to take on the task. Refine your skills and make your mission undeniable. The pandemic has held many people back from doing what they plan to do. That's okay. Just keep working on your skill sets and be extra ready when your opportunity hits. There is such a thing as divine timing. We don't like to acknowledge that because we would prefer the world bend to the schedule we devise. But life is complex and there are multiple threads that must weave together in just the right way. Try to have faith that your time will come when it is supposed to, and stay on track. Don't let delays derail you. It helps that everyone is pretty much in the same boat. I assume that the pause that we have all experienced will result in exponential growth for all of us. So there are the first 6 resolutions. Let's just keep inching forward with these, and life will shift for us before we know it. Thanks for returning for another week of Rebirth Revolution. Try not to let the news get you down. We've had some bad breaks, but the blowback from the injustices that we see daily is the sign we need that we have more and more people out there moving in the right direction. You can always contact me by emailing rebirthrev@gmail.com. I'd love to hear how you're doing. We can be found on all the podcast apps, YouTube, and on social media. Until next week, own your choices. Let others own theirs. Get vaccinated if you haven't. And keep putting one foot in front of the other. Remember, you are loved exactly as much as every other person on the planet. Not 1 ounce more or 1 ounce less. Stay strong and safe and open to magnificence.